police departments utilize drones. Like that's, it's a known thing. But when you're seeing reports of local sheriff's departments deploying drones and their drones being disabled by whatever's there, or, you know, their drones not being able to perceive what's there that they're witnessing from the ground, and then all of a sudden the thing disappears. Like there's something else going on, right? Like whatever these aren't normal fucking drones.
And when they're
So,
recorded, they look like the way stars look when they're recorded, like a plasma orb.
right, I have seen evidence of that as well, but I mean that could possibly be explained with, optics and such, but I don't know enough about all that. That's like way complicated to try to rule out, but yeah,
You
I
remember
have
what
seen
Werner
that.
von Braun said? The last card they will play will be the alien invasion.
Yeah, so they, the whole Project Bluebeam thing is definitely a possibility, and then now that you factor in um, the technologies there for them to essentially pipe sound through light. I don't know. I posted a video a couple weeks ago um, showing how they do it essentially, but they create like this plasma orb, and they can essentially have sound emit from that orb, so they can talk through it or whatever they want to do with that, but they can pipe sound through it. So what sounds like a drone might not even be a drone is essentially what I'm saying. A drone has a pretty distinct sound from the rotors or the multiple rotors.
Yeah, you definitely hear them.
Well, that's what I'm saying is what you think you're hearing might not be the actual thing, with this sort of technology.
If they can put sounds in people's minds, they can put sound in the sky.
But I don't know, man. I don't know what's weirder, the fact that it's happening or the fact that people aren't concerned about it. That's a toss up right now.
The fact that people don't realize that technology is already that far.
Yeah, don't rule out divine time. Yeah, no, I mean we can't rule that out either. You know.
Yeah, don't
I
rule
think
out
most people
divine
would agree with
sign.
that. Yeah, no, I mean we can't rule that out either. You know.
Yeah.
It's
If you
like
know that
even
in
with
1997 they were already looking into field propulsion and manipulating the anti-parallel magnetic field lines to make jumps in time. Then if they were already doing that, I bet they already succeeded in doing that.
Nah, I don't think that's possible, Chris. I don't think time travel's a thing. I think you can only go forward in time. Can't go back. Can't stop it.
Yeah, that's control they dream of.
Yeah, we can go
But
really fast forward.
so that would be. I ultimately think time and space are governed by magnetism, the magnetic field, but it's a whole other conversation.
Yeah, time is a concept created by man. It just describes the distance you traveled.
Did somebody mention Jesus Christ? Because we all know Jesus Christ is king.
No, I don't think we've gotten down that topic today. But yes, Jesus Christ is King. We did talk about some possibilities of it being divine signs. I think Yahweh was mentioning that point, which, is a significant point. And as far as the horns go, like I think you were mentioning briefly, yeah, that there's like we can see like old maps and just old imagery of like angels or some sort of deities with trumpets and stuff. There's a lot of depiction of that throughout history. So I don't know if you were making that connection or if I was just looking too far to it, what you were saying.
Oh,
Yeah, but
that's what I was making. That's what I was drawing out. Like even that guy that channeled Static in the Attic, and a lot of like the ancient history, ancient cataclysm guys, when they show the time period, it always tends to show that beforehand they heard the same horns in the sky, and so they would paint horns and trumpets in the sky, and they would also see lights um, floating, flying in the sky, and some of the paintings paint them as like a person driving the light, or there being beings in the light, and it's not necessarily that those were like aliens or anything. It's just showing that they believe that the lights were divine signs, and also they hold that because those signs happened before this great event, to where they're kind of showing if you look at these signs, you'll understand what's to come. And yeah.
Those are stupid watchers and their vimanas. Deceiving people.
Well, there's ancient books that talk about these events from 1028 to 1008 until now, Taylor.
No, I just said I believe you. I said I think those are the watchers and their stupid vimanas riding around deceiving people.
You talk watches, I don't.
You think they're coming from another planet?
No.
cat fight, cat fight. All right, round one. Let's go.
And
Okay.
Paul is a false apostle, where you
How-
base
Rip
all
the
your
shirt off.
I have a lot of evidence that these things are demonic. That these alien encounters that we were referencing are demonic. I have like
proof that
a lot
Paul
of
didn't
people.
suck the whole story out of his thumb. That's what you need to do.
Wait, what?
Paul, the crucifixion, the rising, death of Christ, that's whole is made up story.
That's another topic. So going back to the alien abductions, whenever people get abducted by aliens, there's a CE4 research group ran by Joe Jordan.
By following a false god.
Hold on, bro. Calm down. That's your demonic stuff. I'm just trying to give a story. All right, the CE4 research group.
Your demonic story.
Can you control yourself? Okay.
No, you couldn't. You came in antagonizing
Mom, are y'all
me.
here? Like,
that reason, Taylor.
This woman just keeps interrupting me.
Guys, let's go one at a time.
Stick in your
All
book.
right, yeah, no pulling hair, no biting, no scratching. All right, I want to see solid blows. All right, and protect yourself at all times. All right, round two. Let's.
Well, I don't even think I can share anything right now.
No, you definitely can. If anyone interrupts, we're just going to tempt you. All right, please.
Okay. Joe Jordan of MUFON ran the CE4 research group and found that when people were getting abducted by quote unquote aliens, they would call on Jesus Christ and the alien abduction would end immediately. They have 200 written and verbal testimonials on their website of this occurring. I've personally talked to people that this has happened to too, when they're having this demonic encounter, like akin to sleep paralysis, whenever you wake up and you can't move. And in this case, they would see these beings standing over them, and they would call on Jesus Christ, and their abduction would end. And you could look up the CE4 research group by Joe Jordan, and they tried to silence him because they wanted, like, MUFON, like, basically they researched this whole UFO encounter, and they found this like commonality, and they were telling him, no, like, we don't want you to share this stuff. And then he basically went above the authorities and continued to compile these cases and share it because they don't want people to know that this is purely spiritual. They have this demonic agenda, alien narrative that they're pushing to make you believe these things are coming from another planet for multiple reasons, which we can, go into. But they're demonic encounters straight up. And then if you go look at writings by Kenneth Grant, there's a book called The Circles of Time, and he actually outlines a ritual that Aleister Crowley did with Roddy Minor in New York City. And basically, it was called the Amalancha Working Ritual, kind of like this occultic sex magic ritual they were doing. And they were able to conjure a being they called Lamb. And you can go look at the drawing of this being in The Circles of Time by Kenneth Grant, and it looks exactly like a gray alien. And then also the Babylon Working Ritual, where Aleister Crowley and Jack Parsons were conjuring UFOs using demonic rituals. So that's just some evidence right there that this is a demonic phenomenon.
Oh, these dudes are infected with the diseases of evil for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Taylor. Pop star Ariana Grande also had a demon enter her room. She tried to take a picture of it, and she shared her experience with reporters.
Wow. A lot of people have actually had encounters like this. Like, it's not that rare. A lot of people have had some form of spiritual encounter. And yeah, if you do have that, just call on Jesus Christ. And a lot of people have been able to completely end it. And sleep paralysis, they say that that's like a medical thing. But a lot of people have found that it's like overlapping with demonic encounters because whenever they wake up and can't move, a lot of times people will see like a shadow figure in their room or something of that nature.
Do you think there's like positive entities like angels or something that would come to you and help you instead of harm you?
Yeah, I mean the Bible. But whenever the angels come, like whenever angel just means messenger, so whenever you have a messenger of the Lord come, they're coming and delivering a message for the Lord. They're saying, "I'm here to deliver," and it's very clear cut what they're doing. Whereas these demonic encounters are kind of anomalous, and people are left with more questions than answers at the end of it.
You ever heard of those stories where somebody shows up and saves somebody else's life and then promptly disappears and then they can't find the person?
Yeah, I think that could be real. I just think that these beings,
Time travelers.
whenever they're coming and confusing you, that's not of the Lord. He's very clear with his intentions and messages.
Dude, imagine you could time travel, right? And you're like, yo, my favorite, my grandfather's favorite friend was gonna die here. Let me just save him real quick, and he just pops out the blue, time travel, saves him, pops back into his own time.
Yeah, that kind of checks out in a way. It's funny.
That checks out big time.
Careful who you entertain, for you may be entertaining angels unaware.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good one. I also think it's interesting, like, yeah, time travel doesn't mean jack shit in the heliocentric model, but if we're inside of a physical stationary field, well, I can theoretically draw a straight line through that in time travel. Theoretically. I guess the reason why I originally asked that question to Taylor about whether or not there's like people that come help us or whatever is like, there's a lot of emphasis on demons and bad spirits and stuff, but then you start talking about good spirits and it's like, well, they might be the bad guys too. It's like, no, there's good spirits out there.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
England.
do think,
Sorry to interrupt, England. Totally. I was actually telling at my place of work, there was our accountant. She comes in twice a week, and I was telling her about flat Earth and the Bible and how it's real. And she told me one day her child had like a severe case of pink eye. They went to the hospital. They couldn't do anything. And then she told me literally that her child told her that this man came to him, and the eye was healed. And she's like, "What man?" Because they were in their home, and he couldn't explain it. But I think she was trying to tell me that maybe it was like a spirit of Jesus that healed her child. Really interesting.
Oh yeah, I totally believe that. I'm not trying to say everything is demonic, but I think that these anomalous cases of sleep paralysis and abductions where people are taken against their will and have, these horrible things done to them, I know that that's not angelic. I mean,
How'd we get on to that though? That topic. I don't know. Like
well,
we were
because
talking about drones, and then we got on to abductions. Like, I don't
yeah, well, somebody mentioned the lights in the sky. I think that was Yahweh is King mentioned the lights in the sky, and I said those lights in the sky are these stupid watches flying around, and that's how we got on it.
What about the drones, Taylor? Do you think those drones are the Vermana or something? Is that what you're
No,
implying? Or okay, that's separate.
yeah,
Okay, what do you think about that though? Like, do you have an answer to that?
this guy who's actually prophetic on YouTube talked about how there's going to be swarms of drones everywhere in the end times. And he was saying that basically the drones are going to be seeking after people who are not following the beast system, who aren't like complying. And I don't know. I think they might be getting them ready, to come against people who are going to rebel whenever they implement the one world government, stuff like that.
So you think it's like we're in those times, obviously, if that's
Not yet.
the process.
I mean, I don't think yet, because we'd all have to either like be beheaded or like die if we don't take the mark. I think they're getting that system ready, and they're like trying to implement a one world government right now, like with the Agenda 2030, and that's just my opinion, right? But yeah.
So it's like a beta run or something that they're doing before they launch the actual system.
I don't know. Actually, people have reports of these drones that actually like. I've heard reports that they shape shifted, so I'm not even sure what they are by saying by drones, because like I don't know what they look like. It's hard to say if it's a real drone or not. But I just want to mention this guy on YouTube, the same guy that predicted Trump would get shot. Like he's like a Christian, and he's really nice. I like him. But yeah, he's the same one that talked about the drones in the end times, and I think that could be a real thing. Just going out and searching for people who are trying to like rebel from the government and have their own society and stuff.
But I mean, they're like over military bases and stuff.
I agree. I think I don't know what they are, because I don't even know which like case you're talking about or what they look like or anything.
I mean, it's been happening like consistently for months now, like over all sorts of sensitive areas across the nation, and now it's like popping up in different countries and parts of the world. So it's
Did you
seems
hear
like
about the
something that's.
swarm? There's a swarm of 200 or 300 of them that came up, and it was reported to come up out of the ocean and then fly like over Florida. And it was like 200 or 300, but they were actually saying these things were coming out of the water, which is unreal. Like, if that's true, then I don't know if they're going to be some technological drone, like metal or plastic or whatever, or if it's like something else. I don't know.
I mean, do you think it's concerning, or do you think it's something we shouldn't really be concerned with?
I think that we shouldn't be concerned because, like, about anything really. Like, I don't want to worry about anything because I just have faith. It says not to be. It says like, don't be disturbed by the signs and wonders like in the sky in the end times, because these things are like destined to come. Do you know what verse that is, Eden? Don't be distraught about the signs in the sky. I can pull it up.
Yeah, sorry, I was in a conversation. I'll try to find it. Thank you. I'm trying to memorize as much as I can.
I mean, do you wear a seatbelt when you drive your car, Taylor?
Yeah.
Okay. So is that like from lack of faith, or is that just like precaution?
I think I don't know. I just wear it because my car keeps dinging. But yeah, I want to be safe. I don't want to be stupid.
So in that regard, you don't think it's a valuable asset to be cautious of what's taking place in terms of these drones, or you think it's just something where we don't have to wear a seatbelt and just everything's in God's hands?
Oh yeah, I think that like I like prepping and getting ready for anything. I think that that's like a smart thing to do, because it talks about how you should be able to like be like relying on yourself in the Bible. Like you shouldn't have to rely on other people to survive and to make your own, I don't have the verse for that either. And I did find the last verse, but anyway. But like I think that we should be self-sustaining and try to like learn how to live on our own. Like I think that's right, a righteous thing to do, and to prepare and not be stupid.
I
But at
posted
the
a,
same
a
time,
video in the live chat for everyone about drones controlling 10,000 drones at one time.
I mean, what can we really do about that? You can get guns and
Nothing.
ammo. So then how can I
Well,
worry about it if I can't do anything about that?
well, yeah, I'm not saying to worry, right? Because worrying, depending on what you do with the worry, right? Being it could consume you, like, isn't going to benefit you. Like, but having precaution, being aware, staying vigilant, knowing what's currently taking place and how the new information develops. Like, we went from one state having the issue to multiple states to now countries simultaneously. So, like, knowing what's going on, right, is a part of being aware of this situation and how the circumstances unfold. So I think that's what we're supposed to do, even as Christians, right? Is to know what's going on and not necessarily have like fear and doubt in the sense that you're going to let your that overwhelm you, but more in the sense that you're going to kind of be able to navigate yourself safely in your family or your community. But just leaving everything up to God and saying, oh, I can just walk blindly without a care into the middle of the street because I'm protected, like, isn't necessarily what Christians I think are supposed to be having the mindset of. So there's a big difference between having faith and being aware. And I think there's a fine line between the two, right?
Wisdom, Dyslow. He gave you wisdom.
Yeah, be wise as a serpent and as gentle and harmless as a dove. The Bible teaches.
Right. But yeah,
Want to add
going back to the current situations. Just for all the people that have recently joined, we've got these horn-like sounds being heard across the world from what seem to be coming from above. We got these low Earth rumblings and booms being witnessed around the world. We've got drone activity taking place. I think there's an alarming rate of volcanic activity, if that's still a thing or not. But I remember like the whole Ring of Fire narrative being put out there into the mainstream quite a bit. So there's like all this activity simultaneously taking place at once, and not just in one location, but throughout this reality. So at an alarming rate, like comparative, modernly. So it's something significant's taking place, right? And I don't know. It's odd.
Ring of Fire's overdue, and that New Madrid fault is supposedly due. So it's like
It
you
talks
got
about in
two of them.
Jeremiah. Sorry, I thought you were finished. It talks about it. That's in Jeremiah 10:2. It says, "Do not learn from the ways of the nation, or be terrified by signs in the heavens, though the nations are terrified by them." And this could be referring to celestial bodies, but I mean, you could maybe apply it to other places too.
I want to go with drones, Dyslow here. This one comes to mind with the signs in the sky. When it's evening, you say it will be fair weather, for the sky is red. And in the morning will be foul weather. Today, for the sky is red and lowing. O ye hypocrites, you can discern the face of the sky, but can you not discern the signs of the times? All these signs happening in the heavens, all these signs happening around Earth, and men walking around with their heads cut off. But when the clouds come in, they cover their crops. They know it's coming.
Yeah, that was Jesus going off on the Pharisees, talking about like, oh yeah, you can look up in the sky and say, oh, I think it's going to be rainy today, and they predict the weather, but they can't look at the signs that are right in front of them.
Mm-hmm.
At the time of the Messiah, they didn't even recognize it.
And I'm sure I left out some other stuff like these crazy fires and um, I'm sure there's a lot more. But the point is, it's like things seem to be accelerating on like every level. And
100%.
what's that?
100%.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is pretty scary. I mean, just look at what they did with the vaccine and how much they implemented it. Now, how much do you think they're going to implement the mark? It's one world currency, and for peace and safety, force us to compromise our privacy, stuff like that.
And it seems like people are more nullified and desensitized than ever before. I think had any one of these events that's currently taken place like decades prior, I think there would have been a different sentiment and a different reaction than what we're experiencing right now. It's I don't know. It's odd. Again, another oddity.
And that verse was 1 Thessalonians 5:3. When they say peace and safety, know the times are near. If anybody was wondering what I was referencing.
What was that again?
1 Thessalonians 5:3. When they say peace and safety, know the times are near.
Yep, them Abrahamic Accords.
What are you talking about?
Trump's golden years.
The Abrahamic Accords enforced Trump's first term that Jared Kushner got agreed upon. Was a historic peace deal in the Middle East. Nothing like it in thousands of years.
Huh.
That good or bad?
Well, if you listen into what's being said and how he's applying that based on Taylor's prior comment that from Thessalonians quote in the Bible stating that when they say peace and safety, know that the end times are near, then that probably wouldn't be such a good thing, depending on what side of the fence you're on. If you're anticipating Christ's return, or if you're anticipating, living out the rest of your life, could be good or bad, depending. So, but it
Yes,
seems like
the
there's a, it seems like
well-being.
there's, yeah, it seems like there's
I
a
was
huge
just,
majority of Christians that are like trying to accelerate Christ's return, and
ooh,
I don't
man, you
know,
just
like,
made a heady fucking point there, dude. A dude from the frickin' Freemasons that allegedly infiltrated him told us one time that he figured out that the Satanists and the Christians and behind the scenes are actually pushing for the exact same thing because they want the final fight between Jesus and Satan or something. So when you said that,
yeah,
man, boy, how
yeah, like
That's
I'm
because they
all
don't
for,
realize.
being a Christian, I'm all for it, but at the same time, it's like, nah, dude, like, I don't want that. I don't even want that to happen in my lifetime, dude, or my kid's
yeah,
lifetime. Like,
interesting you
so,
say that. Like, hey, wait a second, do I or do I not want this? Yeah.
Well, let's get it over and done with.
That's because of how it's portrayed. See, as we go closer to the end, it has to get closer to like what it was in the beginning. Before Babel, it was one language, it was one people. So it's not like a new world order or one world concept of malicious men. It's something they know is inevitable, but they're trying to gear to where they can control it, but they can't. But not only that, winters have to get short because there was no winter in the beginning when it was in the garden. So winter has to get short. When December starts feeling like June, it's about time. Um, but no, peace and things like that have to be what's coming towards fruition. It's not things going into something else. It's just during the last times that's what it is. But as the last times end, it has to go towards as it was. It has to go towards where it's going, which is back into pure spirit.
Well, Jesus said it's going to be like the days of Noah when the coming of the Son of Man happens, not the days of Genesis and Adam. Days of Noah were some crazy times, like with the Watchers ruling mankind and stuff like that.
I got a question for you. Is the evil and the harm a necessary part of the equation?
What equation?
No,
Like the
here's
harm.
I mean, yeah, so does Satan have to do all this harmful shit to people in order to, bring about God's plan?
Actually, the people are going to want to follow Satan. They're going to willingly join the beast system, and people have free will.
Well, sure, of course. So I guess the paradox is ultimately, like, if you think about it hard enough, like, so did Judas have to betray Jesus in order for the crucifixion to take place?
Yes, he said,
At
"Well,
which point does
the man was
evil?
born, but he was born for the very cause." The Messiah said, "Woe that the man was born, but he was born for the very cause."
That's a
Well,
great answer. I really like that
actually,
one. I'm not trying to bust anybody's balls here. I'm just trying to point towards something where, trying to point towards something.
Yeah, there's
well,
vessels crafted
just as
for dishonor and vessels made for honor.
yeah, and another thing is just because God can see what's going to happen doesn't necessarily mean that He's like controlling us like robots. Like we still have free will, and just because God can see the future doesn't mean that that's what He's like. Like we're like a bunch of puppets here.
No, I think that we're chosen for the task because, we're made for the task, kind of, or we're the best fitting piece for that task. That makes sense. Like you hire a plumber because he's good at plumbing.
well, one thing I do want to touch on is that time thing, Taylor. From God's perspective, He sees time from the beginning, the current, and the end simultaneously. Um, so it's a little different than how we experience it.
Not only that, that one of the biggest differences between Yahweh and any other creator proposed by man is Yahweh declares he set the end from the beginning.
What verse is that?
He declares the end from the beginning. It's one of the greatest things about the L of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob compared to all other creators, is he
Oh,
proclaims to set the end from the beginning.
I mean,
yeah,
isn't He the Alpha and the Omega?
yeah,
Yep,
He's
the
the
first and the
end.
last.
He was there at the beginning, and He's going to be there at the end.
But getting back to the drones, it was a Crizzle that mentioned the microwaves disrupting these drones. Because I did skim across that video that was mentioned, and I'm wondering if that is a thing. Um, it sounds like they could have like apprehended one of these drones. But again, keep in mind there's three types of drones taking place. There's the personal, civilian enthusiast, and then you've got the potential military aspect, and then you've got or even local municipality, police department, sheriff, what have you. And then you've got, the unknown, this thing that seems to be having no heat signature, vanishing, morphing, if that's accurate, and various other things. So if that microwave thing is a possibility, I'm wondering if they did capture one, and if so, like, that'd be interesting to hear about.
If you know it, Royal Raymond Drive imploded organisms with a certain frequency, and Nikola Tesla crashed his own laboratory just by resonance frequency. It's just all a matter of frequencies.
Right. Yeah, no, I get that. Like, I don't think it's impossible to do. I'm just saying, like, if that's been done yet.
Arrived it in the beginning 19th century, and Tesla also in 19th century, so that technology has been around for a while.
I'm not questioning that. Once again, I'm talking about this drone thing. I don't know. Are you hearing the convo? Didn't you mention a video, Crizzle, earlier on in the conversation about microwave?
But I know I can still find that thing. It's somewhere on YouTube.
No, I got the video. I just haven't watched it. I'm just saying, like, what was said within the video. Did you watch it, or is that just a headline you saw just like me?
No, I just zapped past it. But it could be possible with a magneton. You could build that into a weapon.
Interesting factor, Diplo, is that Elon Musk's brother owns the largest drone entertainment company in the world.
I didn't even know he had a brother.
Wow. Yeah, his brother, the largest drone entertainment. Yep.
What kind of like drone? Like
it's like entertainment. It's an entertainment drone company.
So for like the movie industry or something.
I don't know if it's like the drones that they use for like they did in China at the Olympics and all that, to like make shows and whatnot.
Yeah, they make designs. They make designs in the air,
Yeah, and so he has the biggest company for that. And just a quick drop, the end from the beginning versus Isaiah 46, 9 and 10. But
like they would form the face of like Santa Claus or like Martin Luther King and Muhammad Ali.
Yeah,
I've seen
we get
it,
bro. We get it. You're all hopped up on that Rastafarian ganja.
Yeah, I don't smoke, brother. I'm a Christian.
Oh well, Genesis says that man's to use all seed-bearing plants.
Yeah, I don't follow that part of the Bible. That's bad for you. Terrible. Don't put no.
Oh, you don't follow the Bible.
No,
the holy anointing
follow the Bible.
Just
one of the ingredients in the holy anointing oil was cannabis, because when they had to go into the holy place, they had to be like into an elevated state.
That wasn't one of the ingredients in the holy anointing oil. That was like the main ingredient.
Yes, it was.
Okay, I'm asking you to reference it.
Oh, it's either Exodus or Numbers. No, I think it's in Exodus, where Moses has been given the orders for the tabernacle, but it gives the ingredients for the holy anointing oil, and the part that's cannabis is commonly in English Bibles translated as cinnamon, but the original Hebrew it's cannabinum, which is the word for cannabis back then. So they try to hide it.
Interlinear.
Yeah, in other words, don't do weed.
Guess it's too bad frankincense and myrrh are psychedelics.
Really?
No, they're not.
Yes, very much so.
The reason people didn't get COVID who smoked and who smoked the hashish was because those things cling on the same receptors in your endocannabinoid system as that cannabis and nicotine does. So it blocks nanotechnology.
She said the Klingons did it.
I want to know what verse is the one that talks about the cannabis.
None. There's absolutely none.
Are you talking about translated as calamus or sweet cane?
Well, what version of the Bible are you reading first off, Jamaican guy? Is this like some Rasta edition or something?
Yeah, no part of the Bible it tells you to smoke weed. No part.
Yeah, which Bible though, bro?
No part of the Bible, brother. No part.
Wasn't there I give you all the herbs or something? Isn't that what the Rastas quote?
Herbs. They're herbs. They're herbs all the time, brother. But there's no weed herb, brother, in the Bible. None.
What's an herb, man?
Yeah, not weed. Not weed.
Well, in the Genesis version, it specifically says to eat, but
I'm starting to think you were deported from Jamaica, bro.
He's a Jamaican castaway.
No, I'm just a reality person, brother. That's all. There's plenty of us.
He's like, you guys don't smoke weed, man, and they're like, get this fucking guy off this island.
Yeah, exactly. Side effect of weed is paranoia, delusion.
He's a self-hating Jamaican. I mean, that's there's no other way around.
No,
Just like the only
weed.
Jamaican who doesn't smoke weed.
Yeah, just a weed hater. That's all. That's all I am.
Seriously,
Okay, so
you're seriously a
is there-
Jamaican and you hate weed? I've never
You
met
gotta
one.
smoke the weed, not let the weed smoke you, man.
Yeah, brother. It's kind of it's bad for you. Side effect, delusion,
Cinnamon?
make up stuff.
Oh
All
yeah. I think that's what you're missing, bro. You got this whole corkscrew narrative going on, and I think we just discovered your problem, bro. You're not following to the roots here, bro. You're not staying true to the grain, my brother.
no,
Yeah, he's like a bird that don't fly or something.
all. I've done a poll. All flat earthers smoke weed. All.
No. Yeah. I don't know about that one.
Yeah, every flat earther I've asked, smoke weed. Everyone.
I don't smoke weed.
You used to. Come on. Yeah.
No. I mean, I quit like 30 minutes ago, but
exactly.
Okay, so the word for cinnamon is not cannabis, and you're referencing Exodus 30:23.
There you go. There you go, my girl. Tell him again. Repeat it.
Oh no, sorry. I did misspeak when I said the cinnamon part. It's the calamus one. The Hebrew for it is kana, and they actually shortened it when you look in the interlinears now. It's cannabism.
Which verse?
That's Exodus 30, 22, 23. And like I'm explaining,
22?
the reason why, if you go into the Hebrew for it, you'll see it says kana, and cannabism is cannabis.
Which one? The sweet smelling cane? Oh, the bazim? Sweet smelling and cane?
Word that they put in verse 23 as calamus in the Hebrew is kane. It's
I don't see calamus.
cannabism. It's right after
I see.
cinnamon.
Okay, cinnamon, 100 shekels, 550, half as much sweet smelling cane. That's like the interlinear into English in order from Hebrew to English. So,
KJP, it's sweet calamus. Whatever word they're putting for the calamus in whatever you're reading is why you're reading that. But the word is kane, which is a reed, a straight reed. But it's through all etymology and everything. Cannabism is.
Euquene is the
It's
word.
almost like somebody purposefully fucked this up.
Yep.
Does anybody else get that impression?
Can we look at
I don't
the
know,
Hebrew?
bro.
Not
Are you
messed up.
trying to say cannabis is the forbidden fruit?
No, cannabis is just
Nobody
bad.
said that.
So then what's the problem, bro? Where's the problem?
I don't see which word he's even talking about. I see cane, and in Hebrew, in the original Hebrew interlinear, it's euquene, and it also can translate to rod or reed in Ezekiel 40 verse 3. But I don't see anything about
weed.
Whatever he's referencing. Yeah, I don't see anything about weed here.
If smoking weed is wrong, I don't want to be right. Okay.
Again,
I was just saying his
the
claim that they're using
Hebrew
cannabis oil is
word,
not founded.
Hebrew word that is translated into calamus in the KJV is kana, and that's a shortened for cannabism.
So how do you know what the Hebrew word is if you're not looking at the interlinear?
Because I am looking at the concordance. I have the direct concordance for what word from Hebrew they're translating
What is
from.
the Strong's Hebrew number?
The Strong's Hebrew number is 0707 from H7069.
Okay.
Get him.
That word is quene, which means reed.
No, it's
stalk, or
not.
branch.
It's kana. You're pronouncing the Q from an English phonetic point when it's a kana is the word.
Okay,
I
and
knew
what
that's
does that
what you were
word
doing.
mean to you? Quana.
Cannabism is cannabis.
No,
Yeah, but where's bosom from? I see quana, which means reed, stalk, branch, measuring rod. I don't see quanabism. Where are you getting that from?
I don't know. We're not going to turn this into a
Cannabism is the
cannabis
original
debate here,
word that
dude.
was there. Again, going through multiple differences of people dropping terms in the scripture.
Oh, so
brother,
they
just
dropped it.
give it up, brother. There's no cannabis in the Bible. Just give it up.
Oh, absolutely there is.
He thinks
I even told you
cannabis means reed or
the
stalk.
reason why it had to have it. They had to go into the
Absolutely not.
holy place in an elevated state.
Church.
Cannabis is not
Absolutely
something. Cannabis is not something separate from the system that your body. When he formed your body, he formed that body with cannabis receptors. Okay.
Even if you
Your
don't smoke
body
pot,
has
you got
cannabinoid
cannabis in your body.
receptors.
It's natural to you.
Yeah, your body has cannabinoid receptors, and the only plant that produces those cannabinoids is the cannabis plant. And yet your body has receptors built in to metabolize the things that come from that specific plant. So
Brother,
don't.
do you know what cannabinoid is? I don't think you know.
Oh man.
It's supposed to be
If you don't
from
know where you
eating
went to
hemp,
school,
not
Robert,
smoking it.
that's
He doesn't know. Poor guy. No, but he's very
You're
young.
supposed to get those cannabinoids from eating hemp, not smoking it. It's the
Yeah,
difference.
Yeah, I'm
You're very
not
young,
saying
brother.
anything
Exactly,
about
you should
smoking.
eat them, not smoke them. You have an
I'm not even talking.
endocannabinoid system for a reason. It's part of your body. Deal with it.
Yeah, and I'm not even talking about anything about smoking thing. One thing that was brought up with the Bible was just an oil made from the plant. Like I don't know why that's such a foreign thing. It's the same. He made myrrh, he made frankincense, he made all the plants that he made, and it's some odd thing for him to have a plant he made as an ingredient in an oil. Really?
Well, let me ask. Did he make bad, like anything bad that we can speak of?
Yes.
No, no. When he created everything, he looked upon it and said it was good and very good. Not good.
No,
That's what
brother.
I
A
thought.
little bit of bad.
Nothing is
That
bad
was
for
the
you.
interpretation I
Anything
was
you
under.
put too much for it, that is bad for you. But any herb,
Right.
any seed in our world is placed there for a
Right.
reason. Every
Yeah.
disease has a cure. And even
I mean,
some things are toxic, but when you microdoses them, they can be a cure as well.
that's a great point because I mean, even water
That's a
being like the
terrible point.
basis for hold on, crazy Jamaican guy. Even water being the basis for all life, right? Like you can't show me one living thing that doesn't require water. Um, could kill you depending on the amount of it. So
Yep.
yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right, Crizzle. That it's everything's ratio dependent. It's not necessarily inherently bad.
Yeah, no, there are things that is not for you to consume as a human. Now, an elephant can consume it, or a shark, but not you. It's bad for you. Okay?
Oh,
Okay,
and what determines
well
that?
that's
Whether
not what
your
the Bible
body
says.
can metabolize it.
Never saw a shark smoke weed, but
I
Yeah,
mean,
No,
like
but
why do you go against
here's his
Genesis,
point.
Jamaican guy? Because he's already openly admitted he directly goes against Genesis.
don't go against Genesis, brother. There's no weed in the Bible.
It
Oh,
says specifically in Genesis that all seed-bearing plants are to be used by
No
man.
weed. No weed in the Bible. No weed.
Consumption,
No
right?
weed
So
in the Bible.
you're saying God didn't create weed?
He did create weed, but not for your consumption. There's no weed
Well,
in the Bible.
how could you say that? How could you say that when your body is created to metabolize that plant?
yeah, you have receptors for it,
The
brother. So
Bible
how does
does
that
not
work?
say to consume weed. It does
What
not.
does
That's
all
the
the
point.
herbs and seed mean to you then?
Herbs
Because
and
that
seed
is very
means
clear in my mind.
there are
But
plenty
it's
herbs and
all.
seeds out there.
It
There
sounds
are
like maybe
plenty
you had a
herbs
bad
and seeds out
experience at
there.
Maybe
one
they're
point.
equally. That's what this verse is saying. For
Yeah,
consumption.
there's plenty of good herbs out there for you. Weed is not one.
Are you
Well, that's your
serious?
opinion.
The
That's your
seed, the
subjective
seeds of
opinion,
the
Pressure.
cannabis
Because
plant,
hold on a
the
second.
seeds of the
Hold on.
cannabis plant are some of the most
Hold on, guys.
nutrient dense seeds on earth.
Well, you have that factor, but also the factor of the current medical reports obviously ruling against that, right? Through statistic study and direct evidence. So, being going with the mainstream model for your worldview, crazy Jamaican, why would you now go against what the medical scientists and doctors are saying?
Where are you going with them? You go against them all the time. What's the
Well,
issue now?
again, we're not going to reverse that. We're not going to
Well,
reverse
yes,
the question.
we have
I'm
to.
asking you specifically, directly. I asked you a direct question.
It's the question is invalidated coming from you because you do not trust mainstream.
You subjectively interpret the Bible, and now you're subjectively interpreting the mainstream
There is
science that
okay,
that you agree with. So it's just
okay,
odd to me that all of a sudden you have this bias.
okay. I'll bet you money that there's nowhere in the Bible that says weed is must be consumed. There is
That's
no
not that,
weed in the
that's
Bible.
not yeah, that's not what's in debate here.
Yes, of course that's what's in the debate here. That's what I said in
That's
the
not
beginning.
what's in
I
debate.
said the Bible does not mention weed for your consumption. That's what I said in the beginning.
I've already addressed that though. I've already addressed that in
Okay,
saying
so
that
you agree with me. So you agree with
yeah,
me.
if you're gonna let me respond, I've already addressed that in saying that it directly says that all seed-bearing plants are to be used by man. So when you include weed in all, then that's already addressed. I don't know why you need to keep
No, no, no,
focusing on
no.
this one point instead of answering the direct question of why is it that you're now biasly interpreting not only the Christian view but the mainstream view.
No, weed is not mentioned in the Bible. Cannabis is not mentioned in the Bible. That's a fact.
Yes.
Well,
That's
if it's
fine.
not mentioned,
That's
then how
fine.
is it supposed to
I'm
be
not even
harmful?
arguing that. Yeah, I'm not
Well,
even arguing that.
that's what I'm arguing. And so do not consume weed.
But that's a
It's
straw
for
man.
you.
No,
You know
but
what a
it
straw man
doesn't
is,
say
right?
not to consume weed either then if it's not mentioned. So
Yeah,
your objection can't be routed in the Bible because there's no mention for or against it.
no,
And
yeah. The point is, there's no weed mentioned in the Bible for you to be
It's a straw
consuming.
man.
It says
Yeah,
have
it's
them
a
for
straw man.
food. It
Yeah,
says every tree with seed and its fruit, you shall have them for food.
right, with sense. You have to make sure so you have sense. Not everything is good for you. Not
Sense
every,
Amelia.
not
Is that what you're
everything,
saying?
not
let food
everything that
be
a
thy
shark,
medicine.
not everything that a shark consume, you should be consuming. That's just common sense, especially weed.
Sense Amelia.
So cannabis and nicotine is in plants. Even tomatoes contain them. So it's ridiculous what you're stating.
Ma'am, you don't know what cannabinoids is. I'm just saying,
No, nicotine.
cannabinoids in the form of cannabis, weed, marijuana must not be consumed by humans.
Where
Yeah,
does
it
it
doesn't
say that in the
say that
Bible
in the
though?
Bible.
You've
So
already
you
been
don't have
asked a
a point.
question by Arwen about that. Where does it say that in the Bible?
No, where does it say in the Bible you should consume weed
Why do you
and
reverse
marijuana?
everything? You've been asked several direct questions, and all you do is reverse the question back onto the person asking you the question.
Rewind the tape, brother. You said weed is mentioned in the Bible. That's what you said. And
I
I said,
didn't say
no,
that. That's
it
not at
doesn't.
all what I said.
Yes, you did.
No. There is a historical reference with weed, and it has
Go
to
back.
do with things in the past, right? Like what the Templars used cannabis oil in
All right,
their
poor guys, they don't
that
eat
is
no
on
more.
record.
Weed. The weed is bad for them. Sorry, they died. Do not
Yeah,
use weed. It's
they
not mentioned in the
died.
Bible.
That is
All
the
right.
It
Well,
is even
I
used
don't
in
know.
cancer treatment, so it's ridiculous what you're
All
doing.
right. Well, I think we can move on because he's not
It's
really
poor.
going to directly answer any of the questions. So I think we just move on.
I have
He's
answered
just
them.
projecting his internal feelings and his bias. So
No,
yeah,
bias.
it's all
Weed is not in the Bible.
subjective
That's a fact.
interpretations, dude.
It doesn't matter
Weed is
whether
not
it's
in
in
the
the
Bible.
Bible or not. It
That's
doesn't
a
mention
fact.
anything against it, so you don't have a case biblically.
So weed is not in the Bible. You agree? Thank you.
Yeah, so there's nothing against it in the Bible either. Okay?
Who said the Bible preach against it? I'm just saying it's not in there. Do not consume it.
Robert, you don't know anything about the Bible. It's very
You
apparent.
want a bit?
It
So
is
you're
in there.
stating weed,
I'm a Christian.
that
I'm a
weed
Christian.
isn't an herb. So what is it then, according to you?
Weed is not mentioned in the Bible to be consumed.
Cannabism is mentioned.
No,
Cannabis
that's not.
is a herb, and that's what you're not getting. It's a
There are
herb,
many
so it
herbs.
is
There are
in the
many herbs.
Bible. It is in ancient scripture. It's a
Guys,
herb.
you're just proving the point that you guys smoke too much weed. Don't do it.
All right. So
Cannabism is in the
hold on a
Bible.
second. I'm moderating now. So Robert, unless you're going to directly answer the questions being asked and stop interrupting, I'm just going to mute you, dude, because all you're doing is just throwing the conversation off, dude, and trolling at this point. So either answer the questions or just don't talk, dude.
It does derail the conversation a lot.
Yeah, it's insensitive now. Like, and it's to the point where we just having a great conversation that just went to shit real quick. So entertaining his nonsense. So
Yeah, when I was being asked for the bosom part and the cannabism was because that the calamus is translated into canna, which is the word the canna part, but the word sweet is the bosom part. So it's the sweet calamus, it's the cannabism. The word cannabism is separated and translated as sweet calamus. But cannabism was known to be a sweet smelling resinous reed or cane. Well, cannabis. Huh?
There's no mention.
If you look at the Thai
use
stick,
cannabis.
that grows as a stick.
either way, it seems like there's some argument from Google's opinion about it, and not all Hebrew scholars agree on what's being said. So blah blah blah. I'll just leave it at that. But point is we were talking about a whole bunch of stuff. It started getting into Christianity. So I don't know. Seems like we're ready for a new topic.
Well, look, the use of substances is in a lot of Catholic or in a lot of Christian tradition kind of left to the individual. It's just don't get addicted to anything, and don't don't.
It depends on how you view the Bible,
use of
Arwen.
substances. So that's pretty much the guideline, but it's left to folklore mostly. There is no direct order.
It depends on how you view the Bible, dude. If you're going to use the Bible to rule your worldview, then it all depends on how you interpret that. Is it verbatim? Is it subjective? Seems like there's a debate even on that. So I don't think it's
a couple of references that you could interpret as the use of drugs because they are indirectly or directly related, and that is the reference of sorcery. But I mean that is very specific. That is niche. That's not you don't do sorcery.
Are you Christian,
by
Arwen?
doing a bunch of drugs, right?
Are you Christian?
What?
Are you Christian?
Well, not literally.
Okay, so I don't know. I don't know why we're engaging in your interpretation of Christianity.
Within the Bible, that's what I.
It says, I've already said it several times. It says directly in Genesis, all seed-bearing plants are to be used by man. Now, if you want to interpret that as being directly or indirectly ingested or just used as a textile, whatever. Point is it specifically states that in the Bible. There's no disputing that. So I don't know why we're going to continue on in the conversation.
It doesn't say how, right? It doesn't say use it industrially.
That's what I just said.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah.
You know what gets me dice low? The one thing that I always found interesting with it was supposedly, well, it's not supposedly, it's the same word that translates as the reed that Jacob was told to put in the water. Because when he was working for his father-in-law to get his wife's hand in marriage for 7 years, the father-in-law said all the youngs that are born with spots and blemishes you can have, but all the good coats are mine. And he was told to put a reed in the water, and all the ones that when the animals drank the water when the reed was put in the water, their babies would come out with spotted coats. That one always interested me.
I mean, if we have receptors in our body, somebody mentioned it a minute ago. Like we have receptors in our body that are specifically made for this, or do they do other things? Could somebody say, well, they actually do this other thing too, so maybe they're for that?
Weed is a psychoactive drug, bro. Cannabinoid is a psychoactive drug, meaning that it interacts with our makeup, right? So, yeah, bro.
Well, we know it stops the seizures, so I mean, just right off the jump, like,
There's all
isn't
sorts
that
of
worth
stuff,
using
dude.
it?
There's
Tons of stuff.
also
I know we could go through a whole list, but we know it helps, so like we should be using it, right? Because it like cures our ailments and stuff.
Yeah, it was only due to actually the textile moguls at the time, being DuPont, that was trying to portray cannabis use as
There's more
being
than
something
that.
harmful. Well, I'm sure there is, but point being, that's what kicked it off, and the
Maybe.
fact that hemp was a very durable textile, and they didn't foresee that.
Oh,
So
I got some news.
Well, yeah,
I got some news related to the subject. Yeah, it's what I thought it was. I just checked it with Google. But yeah, human breast milk also actually contains cannabinoids. There you go.
right on.
yeah. So
So what's where are we at now, Jeremy? Why'd
I
you
don't
bring it?
actually produce. See, the thing is like my body doesn't naturally produce THC, so I take supplements.
Yeah,
That's
we
where
know
I'm at.
you're a preemie, bro.
That's where I'm at with it. But it was more than just textiles. Big Pharma wanted a piece of that. They wanted to put people in prisons. Alcohol, big alcohol, didn't want people using it. I'm sure Big Oil wasn't crazy about it, knowing that you can use it for biofuel. Like I'm sure a lot of people did not want this.
Yeah,
And you can
that
see
supplement thing was pretty funny.
the numbers will show it because you can see who lobbied to keep it illegal for decades.
I did a research thing on that actually in 11th grade. And so it was textile companies, paper companies, logging companies, big oil, and they used yellow journalism. Back in the day, that's what fake news was called, was yellow journalism. And they used the news outlets to demonize cannabis, and then it was outlawed in 1937. Interesting also other fact though about the petrochemical companies is that we think that biofuels are kind of a new thing, but up until 1937 petrol fuel companies and biofuel companies competed neck and neck for control of fueling the automobile industry. And of course hemp only supports the individual farmer, and big oil is big oil, so you guys can do the math on that one. But it was a conglomeration between all of those at the time, and
Yeah, and
1937 was the year that it was outlawed.
there was
also
there was a
something
lot
about
of
the
there
planet.
was a lot of incentive to put fucking cannabis, dude. On the Richter scale, the federal government being demonized and illegalized. So, and that's exactly what happened, dude. So, and now that the medical developments and technology is picked up and been able to fucking prove otherwise, now it's it's considered a fucking not a drug anymore, but a medical usage case scenario. So, it's like,
Yeah, but that's
why are we
something
still
about that
talking about it?
hemp that also has something to do with the protection of your personal biofield. It does something for your electromagnetic radiation you send out, and so it protects you in a way, just like cotton does, and wool. When you wear one side of clothing in only wool or only linen, yeah, the cotton these days is poisonous, but if you have the pure natural structure on your body, it protects you. It grounds you basically. It makes you
That's
one
funny
with the
because
earth.
I didn't know that.
That's funny because when I ingest it, it actually saves other people, protects other people when I ingest it.
No, I mean
It protects the
when you
kids
make
from getting
clothing of
injured.
it, it's when you make textile from it. Crazy.
I think I read an article. I'm pretty sure that back in the day when people had homesteads, by law you would have to grow hemp on your property. They would use it for rope. The army would use it for clothes, rope, stuff like that.
It was actually the
I
best
see.
rope you could have, dude. They were finding hemp rope, dude, from over 100 years ago at the bottom of the ocean, where like
Oh, dude.
everything else would just get eaten up, dude. Fucking hemp would be like still usable 100 years later, sitting on the fucking bed of the ocean floor, bro.
Two
Like nothing
things.
else can do that.
Two things. SE used to be the type back in the 70s and shit to show up to a party like, you guys want to do some weed? And second thing is, they make these hempcrete Lego blocks for building houses. Fucking hempcrete Lego block, bro. That's fire right there.
Well, that's the thing. They're fireproof. They're actually fire retardant.
Yeah.
So.
They're superior in every way. Yeah, hempcrete actually petrifies over time, and it also breathes, so it doesn't need to be sealed to the environment, and it actually becomes stronger with time. So it's like a superior product in like every way.
Yeah, but if you look at they try to use it with the 5G network. They basically use the human body as a transmitter. And if you look at the synthetic clothing, it charges us all. But when you take the natural clothing, it discharges us, which makes us less usable as an antenna. And that might be the reason a bit why they changed and put the hemp out of business, because that thing would put the whole plan out of business.
Think about a
Yeah, I know how
product
we
that
went.
could be used as rope, gas, medicine, recreation. Look how many industries it harms. So definitely they wanted to get rid of it.
Yeah,
Just the
it's food,
cotton,
fuel,
right?
and
Just the
fiber.
cotton. Yeah.
Yeah, food, fuel, fiber, medicine. I mean, we still don't even know all the uses for cannabis today. There's like literally hundreds. And what you were saying about them asking people to grow it, yeah, during the thing, they lifted the ban during World War II to grow hemp for the war effort. There's still like a cool place, like in southeast Minnesota where I'm from, where it's still on the hill. They had hemp written in giant letters so that the pilots could see where to land, and they would come land it to pick up the hemp to bring it to wherever they were going to use it. And it's still there to this day. It's kind of cool.
No kidding, huh?
And what did the government do with all that hemp?
They made rope out of it, and I think they made rope and other textiles out of it for the war effort. But yeah, about the seeds being food too. Cannabis seeds are the most nutritional seed on the planet, and the only thing that they don't have the most concentration of is protein, and the only thing that has a higher concentration of protein is a soybean. And so obviously men don't want to eat soybeans. So yeah, hemp is the king of the planet, man.
I mean, dude, just for the building material alone, or you could just pick one thing. It stops little kids from having seizures. Like, you can't fucking beat that. Just that. If it was just that alone, it'd be like, oh my God, this thing is so amazing. Given all the other stuff, though, it's just like through the roof how good this is, and how much they've tried to suppress it over the years. Big Pharma, you did a research paper on this in 11th grade. Big Pharma has been the top spender in lobbying to keep it illegal for decades. No one's beaten Big Pharma. Why the hell do they care about making this plant legal or not? Oh, come to find out, it has these huge medical benefits. Oh, I wonder why they were lobbying to keep it illegal.
Yep,
Yeah,
the
it's huge.
lobbyist. That's who runs our lives, bro. It's come down to
That's
that. That's
SE
our
said we
system.
need more lobbyists. That's SE's that's his stance. We need more lobbying, right? Did I
Yeah,
get that
more
right?
of them. Yeah, that's the answer.
Good deal, man.
Spot on.